West Wednesday 619, Justice for Tyrone West and Justice for all victims of police brutality. Tawanda, it's all you.
Thank you, my queen. Yeah, so thank you guys for joining. And I apologize we don't have any special guests tonight. And we will be back in the street soon. I will definitely keep you guys updated. If you can stay tuned as we play the video that we always play when we're online, and we will be right back. Mic check.
Mic check.
Can't stop. Won't stop. Till killer cops are in cell blocks. Can't stop.
The following video portrays an incident of assault and violence at the hands of police. Viewer discretion is advised.
I suggest you back the fuck up. No.
This is Baltimore City Police Officer Jorge Bernardes Ruiz. In a video shot in 2016, Ruiz is seen with his knee on the back of an unknown man with a gun pointed at the man's head. His message was a clear one. Concerned onlookers, adhere to my dictates or else. Here, we can hear Ruiz saying to Baltimore residents,
I suggest you back the fuck up.
It is documented that Baltimore police officer Jorge Bernardes Ruiz is a repeat violent offender, even without access to all complaints against Ruiz, undisclosed by BPD Internal Affairs records. 6 cases involving Ruiz are known. This video will briefly highlight 6 total cases beginning in July of 2013. Case 1, Abdul Salam, July 1st, 2013. Here, Salam is seen victoriously smiling in celebration after the jury found Ruiz and 2 other cops liable for brutality against him. However, because the trial was civil, not criminal, Ruiz was not fired and he did not go to jail.
Police profiled me. They followed me in the back of my house, harassing me. Police proceeded to violently and hostilely approach my van with me and my son in it. As I announced, this was my home, guns drawn. Once they reached my vehicle, they violently pulled me out, ramshacked my vehicle with my 3-year-old son strapped in his car seat, threw me against the gate, slammed me repeatedly. Picked me up by my feet, and while I'm upside down, they proceeded to drop me on my head, hog-tie me, and immediately when I fell on my head, Ruiz, in a wrestling type of action, and kind of hit his knee against my neck. I was arrested. I had no idea what I was being arrested for. My son is scarred to this day. He remembers the incident as it happened yesterday. When he talks about it, he always refers to Daddy being on the floor with police yesterday.
Case 2, Darrell Harris, profiled, as seen in this video, July 17th, 2013.
Yeah, I said, what's wrong with it? Improper way with it. There's no such thing as an improper way.
You gonna tell me my job, bro?
I know the law.
Are you gonna tell me the law?
I know the law.
You gonna tell me the law?
I know the law. What's the problem? You giving me a ticket? You need my license registration?
Yeah, let me get it up.
Profile, y'all use the seatbelt as a reason. Profile.
Do me a favor, take out your keys.
Yeah, you can record. For what? Nah. I don't feel safe right now. Do you want me to step out the car? Do you want me to step out the car? I'll step out the car. Call the police, man. What do you call a supervisor? I won't do shit. This is getting uploaded to the internet right now. Yeah?
And we are 2 law-abiding citizens that we're getting targeted, and I don't know why.
Just 24 hours later, Bernardes Ruiz played a leading role in the police killing of unarmed Tyrone West. Case number 3, the murder of Tyrone West, July 18th, 2013.
My brother Tyrone West was brutally murdered
on July the 18th, 2013.
In both of these cases, when you look at the pleadings and the harsh language of these officers that have been quoted to me by reliable witnesses, the N-word.
And Killer Ruiz and Killer Chapman and the rest of those 11 to 15 killers, including David Lewis, took something from my family that they could never give us again. And that was my brother Tyrone West, one unarmed man who was brutally murdered, beat to death in broad daylight.
Okay, Tawanda.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Yeah. Awesome. So, guys, I want to thank everybody for apologize that we're late this evening. I definitely apologize. So I just want to kind of dive into everything. I'm just really excited. In case you guys don't know, if this is your first time joining, I'm so excited that Brown's office will be pretty much investigating, and I'm praying for like them to actually open my brother's case back up. They did an audit of the medical examiner's office, and my brother was one case picked out. I think it was like 36, 37 cases. And it's just sad that any family, and I feel sorry for the families that wasn't selected, because in my opinion, with all the recklessness and all the stuff that was going on in that office, it's ridiculous. Any family to something like that, it's a nightmare. You know, first of all, when you lose anyone, whether they was murdered or whatever, it saddens you, it breaks you down. Sometimes it even takes people out, because it's really tough to deal with something that you wasn't ready for. And all you can prepare, and some people are maybe good at it, but I'm not, But with that being said, actually go through a nightmare of expecting someone to do their job, and that's just a report. And this is the final examination. I'm going to report what I see, what the body is telling me, and then for you literally to actually do that type of recklessness and pretty like you guys don't know the type of trauma that my family and myself suffered, and not just my family, the family suffered after you get a blow like that. You already lost your loved one. Here it is, my brother, and I'm talking about my brother. My brother, was already murdered. And then the first thing, like literally, I'll just take you guys back real quick to July the 18th, 2013. First time tuning in. But unfortunately, my brother Tyrone West was pretty much executed by up to 17 police officers. And that's just saying that here it is, 2025, and I still really don't have a clear number, but I got mostly, first we used to say 10, I think we used to say 9 and 10 officers, something like that. And then we put in for a Public Information Act, which pretty much let us know it was way more officers at the scene, up to 17. But even with that information, for withholding so much, it's just like, wow, like you got one unarmed man that was pulled over for an alleged traffic stop. There's nowhere in the world. The worst thing that should happen in any traffic stop, anyone, is to get, or worst case scenario, if you're in violation so bad, maybe have your car towed away. But to actually have your life snatched from you in such a horrific way is horrible. For my brother who didn't do that, 18, 2013, to be tortured in broad daylight by several, like over a dozen or more witnesses, literally up to 32 or more witnesses, to see this happening on that summer eve, shining, it's still bright around 7.
Tawanda, you're
outside. I'm sorry, what you say?
your voice is cutting in and out a little. Would you like to get off and come right back?
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes, but there's certain words that it pauses and we don't get.
Yeah, I'm quite sure it is, especially when they play it. And that's my. It's not the West Coalition. I'm speaking for Tawanda Jones. When every clear points, it's like, I have the audio. I would love to greet you guys every week. At the least, at the bare minimum, you guys should be able to see my face, me talking to you. It's to the point they won't even allow me to do that. And I feel like it's strategically done. It's done by design. They're doing what they do, playing all in my phone, playing in my face type of thing. And now all of a sudden, even through the audio, you could barely hear me. Well, because I'm telling you guys, but I don't care if they break me in and out. They're never going to remove the pain that I have. They're never going to remove the love that I have for my brother, and not just my brother. That's extended to my community, right? It's extended to everybody, right? The love that I have, it's extended. So I'm going to fight this nasty, ugly fight. The fight. But the point that I was making, as horrific as my brother's murder was, his execution, in which that's the way I only describe it, an execution, a brutal execution. And this, the cover-up was far worse. So you have a young man at the tender age of 44 years old, just wanting to pretty much live his life and think of that snatched within 18 minutes of being brutally murdered. Pulled out his car by dreadlocks, pulled out my vehicle, a vehicle that I thought would pretty much have him safe, because at the time my brother didn't own a vehicle. He was in the makers of getting, he was getting his life together. He had a job. Was buying him a vehicle to get him from point A to point B. But me, I'm like, I don't want my brother standing on nobody's bus stop. And my brother, he was so fit, he would walk. He would never catch public transportation unless it's truly an emergency. And on days when I didn't let him hold my vehicle, that was a part of his daily. He would walk there with no problem there before his time schedule. But my whole point is, what I thought would keep him safe, I had just purchased a green Mercedes-Benz. It wasn't even about the make and model of the car. It was just the fact I had a vehicle. It could have been a Ford. It could whatever the case may be. But I thought that this vehicle would keep him safe, meaning that he's not on a bus stop or he's not walking, God forbid something happens, a bullet go flying or anything. So, and my thoughts and all of it was, hey, let him hold your vehicle, work safely, and then it worked out because I was teaching even a summer program. In the summertime, I was still teaching at my old job. Long story short, he bought my vehicle that day and literally for a traffic stop was murdered. And if that was horrific enough, the first thing I'm thinking, when I saw the new because I had bad feelings. I even had body, my neck broke my neck. They're screaming and crying, and then literally it came to pass on the news that my brother was murdered, and people said that they had cell phone video footage. So I'm thinking, oh my goodness, this is horrible. Nobody never called me. We went down a homicide. They tell us, they pretty much brush us off and say, hey, we're going to get back to you guys literally tomorrow. We're dealing with another serious situation. Okay. I'm not a heartless person. At that time, somebody else lost their family member, and they know that it was that was murdered. I'm like, okay, family, let's calm down. Let's just meet these guys tomorrow. They can come to my house. We can sit down, have a nice dialogue, see what's going on, get the facts. I saw on the that people had video footage. We're okay. Everything's going to be okay. I'm trying to be the voice of reason, even though I felt I literally died. Like the old me literally died because I was crying. Even to the point that when I would have my students graduate and I'll be all nervous talking to the parents, I would tell them, and we use that same method that I taught my students. I say, look, find somewhere special on the wall in the back so that way you're not looking, it's going to make you nervous. Find a special place on that wall, focusing on that, and then just, sing your songs, do your little poems, do all that. And I would use that method because I wouldn't, I was really shy before this happened. Before they brought the lion out of me, I was really shy. But nevertheless, when my brother was murdered, I'm thinking everything was going to be fine. Long story short, the next day they literally come in my family's home telling my family before my brother's body was even worked on. They're like, he's at the medical examiner's office right now. We just gonna pretty much do his autopsy reports. Or they didn't say we were. They said his autopsy is gonna be maybe performed around 12:30, between 12:30 and 2 o'clock. But we want to make sure Mr. West didn't have a bad heart. We want to make sure, it was real hot yesterday. We want to make sure Mr. West, wasn't under any heat distress and things of that nature. I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm like, that's not what I heard on the news. They said that he was pulled out by his dreadlocks. One witness, Trayvon Martin, helped me. Doesn't seem like none of the stuff you're saying may be, but okay, let's let the examiner's office do their job, come up with their findings, and we'll just take it from there. Lord and behold, not only did they tell us what his autopsy was going to give us, literally they waited 154 days to share the autopsy with us. And if that was hid my brother's body for 5 days, and when I say hid, meaning that we nor the funeral home of our choosing. They told us, okay, we're not, like, I wanted to go see him. When we went down to the medical examiner's office, I went down there and I was confronted by Bruce Goldfarb, who told me, this is not a funeral home. You're not allowed to come up in here and see your loved one. What you need to do is go to the home of your choosing and have them, get his body, type of thing. And I'm like, okay, sure, whatever. And that's what we did. And then when the funeral home called me and they said, Miss Jones, I said, what? They said, it's weird, but they're not releasing your brother's body. And I'm scratching my head like, are you kidding me? What do you mean they're not releasing his body? They're literally not letting us, they said they having a transportation issue, which we never heard of, but let's just see what happened. I'm like, wow. So literally he's murdered on autopsy is done on that Friday, and literally they did not release my brother's body until that Tuesday. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. And literally, so I was prepared, and it was on and popping. It was on and popping because nobody family should have to go through lies, pain, and all that stuff. And even once they did the autopsy, and this is how I found out. When we got the Public Information Act, it tells you everything. So with that, it let me know that officers were in the room while my brother's body was being worked on for his autopsy. Like, are you freaking kidding me? So officers are the ones who murdered my brother, but yet they're in the room. And I was so mortified. Like, here it is. First of all, let's take you back to the scene on Kentway and Kelsmore when my brother was murdered. Literally, 2 or 3 of the officers that murdered actually jumped in the ambulance with my brother's dead body because he was dead on Kentmore and Kelsway. The only reason, let's be crystal clear, they did not put the black sheet on my brother's body because they did not want to upset and disturb the residents even further because they knew what they saw. People were begging, witnesses were begging them, please get off of this man, leave him alone, stop. Like, oh my goodness, like they went through it. So they didn't want their dirty dirt to be discovered that they murdered him on the scene, that he was... So they pretend to do what they did was cover up. Literally, the hospital, Good Sam, is not even less than 3 minutes away. It does not take a half an hour to get to a 3-minute ride. It does not. They didn't walk him. They drove him in an ambulance very slow. Normally, when you think of a medical vehicle, you think of fast flashing lights, pulling off, speeding because it's an emergency. No, that wasn't the case. And the only reason, let's be crystal clear, the only reason why the ambulance was called, guys, get this. The only reason why the ambulance was called, they wasn't calling about my brother. No, they didn't call for my brother that he needed help, that he'd been pepper sprayed, tasered in his neck 3 times, 2 canisters of some type of chemicals in his face, beat with baton, feet, boot, everything, right? No, that's not why they were called to that scene. They were called to the scene because Nicholas got some of his splashback in his eyes, and he was freaking out, and he called a fake Signal 13 and said that he needed help at that scene. And let me tell you how good God is, and it's not the West Coalition, this is Tawanda knows. God had told me literally to call my ex at the time, who was a police officer. I'm not knowing what codes meant or anything, but God told me to call my ex and ask, hey, did you just get a Signal 13? And sure as God is my witness, I called my ex and I said, hey, did you get a Signal 13? And he said, yeah, about 15 minutes ago. I said, oh my God. I said, please check that scene out. That's my brother. He was like, no, you're going crazy. That means the officer's down. I said, I don't care what that language means. God is telling me to call you. I know it sounds crazy, but please trust my instinct. And long story short, he never went to the scene. Who knows if he could have saved him? Who knows what was already done? But I know that I was acting off of the spirit. And something was telling me to call my family. I knew something wasn't right. But to make a long story short and to go to the focus of the medical examiner's office, this is what Pamela Southall and David Fowler did to my family. They lied. It took 154 days to break my family heart. Literally released the autopsy report a few days before Christmas. And literally you had Greg Bernstein, who was the attorney at the time, the state's attorney, state prosecutor, come out on the news with some foolishness. And he said out of his mouth, I can show you guys the recordings and everything. He said that because the medical office, it was undetermined matter which Mr. West died, right, that he could not charge any of the officers involved because he had no proof of murder whatsoever. So with that being said, let's move on forward now. We're in 2025. What I want and what's going to go down, I'm going to stop until it. He took to break my family heart with that foolishness talking about he based his stuff upon what he got that stated nothing happened to my brother from that disrespectful in this office. I'm going to use that same energy, right? That same energy. Now that was a lie. Now that it's deemed a homicide, even though they're saying they didn't intentionally I face with that foolishness. And you having a man screaming for help. If I was screaming, someone bust me upside with wooden sticks, kick me with steel-toe boots, pepper spray me, taser me, torture me, pull me by my hair, beat me over. And they say that wasn't intentional. I'm just going to drop the mic on that note, and I'm going to check in with Khalid. Have any questions or comments? Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check. So far, we have 3 comments, all saying mic check. Mic check from Judah, Descartes, and Mainism. And that's all the comments we have for now.
Okay, thank you. And I want to give a happy birthday. We are sending you much love, and thank you, June and Maine, for sending love. Thank you guys so much. But it's just like I said, it's awful that we're going through this type of thing, and the fact that I feel like things are going to get worse because now you have a whole new administration that really don't care. Like the last one didn't care. Let's be crystal clear. Had it not been, and it's always the power always relies in the people. Let's be crystal clear. The power relies in what we do, our response. It's not going to rely to me fully on nobody, nobody else, because nobody's coming to save us. That's my whole point. Like, they could change all the laws they want to change, which we definitely need them changed. But come on, man. Like, let's be crystal clear. It was laws in place that stated you could kill Black and brown people at will. And if you think I'm lying, look up the Casual Killing Act. Look up the Casual Killing Act, and it will show you. Let that be your guide. And that's like, they just changed the name, but it's the same game, different name. That's what I say. Same game, different name. It was the Casual Killing Act in the 1600s. And it's sad and it's awful that we don't have things to protect us in place. It's disgusting. It literally is really disgusting. So, and I'm sorry that my phone is breaking up because I'm getting lots of messages saying that my phone's breaking up, and I know that's intentionally done because I want you guys to hear what I have to tell you, but they could break it up all day and night. It's not going to change the facts. So I'm going to check on to see if Uncle Bill or anybody wants to share thoughts or comments before we go into the sad list tonight. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
I don't have anything to add to everything you said tonight, so I pass along to anyone else that may wish to speak.
Tawanda, this is Hillary. I just want to support you in what you're saying and let you know that it feels like the next step, really, as you've said, is to put pressure on, or be in contact at least with the Attorney General's office and, make sure that the next steps that happen, they pay attention to you.
Right. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Appreciate that. And that's just the biggest step. So I just need all you guys' help. We have the spotlight. It's not even just about having a spotlight. It's about, I'm going to say it is about having a spotlight. Had it not been for George Floyd, who literally a nationwide protest with everybody gathering for the same fight, same cause type of thing. And had it not been for him going, and when I say him, David Fowler, going on the stand, making to testify expert and literally to disrespect George Floyd family as he done ours. But if you're so used to taking a disrespectful stance, that's going to naturally happen. In the fact, and be that ignorant with the whole world watching. Imagine the stuff that he was doing insane without the world watching. Could you imagine? Like, you have this man to literally get on a national outlet knowing, like, it wasn't like, it's not a big secret that I'm not having the whole world watch this right now. He knew everybody was watching. It was on a national level. And for you literally to get on there and do that is very disrespectful. But a big shout out to Roger. Big shout out to Roger Miller. He is the forensic doctor from D.C. that scratched his head. And I pray for him because retribution is terrible. The way they try to come at people, I can only imagine. And I feel sorry. And I want you guys to keep all the forensic doctors that are making the right choice and stepping up, coming under scrutiny. No idea are coming up. It is horrible. It is horrible. Like, if you only knew nightmare that they're living, just be honest and transparent. Something that we all want. Like, it's sad, it's disgusting. It really is. But just pray for all the forensic pathologists that have integrity, that's honest, that's not biased, that are doing the right things. Big shout out to all of them, and a big shout out to all. I believe it was over 450 doctors that signed that. Shout out to each and every last one of you. God bless you all. Thank you guys, because had it not been for you. That's why I say, and I teach my students, teamwork is dream work, right? Doesn't matter. If you all pull together that one fight, one cause, be against you, but I'm telling you, you can do it. Stay focused, stay on top of it. It can be done, no matter how things. And I was even struggling with a life change that I decided to do. I was struggling like I don't know what, even being in my classroom for the first time, like a full day of teaching my new students and bonding with my new co-teacher. That was hard for me. And it was almost like what Uncle Bill had sent me a message on Facebook. It was the anxiety of like making that decision. It was like, oh my God, the pressure of, did I make the right decision? And honestly, I can say that I did, so with that being said, sometimes when you need to just move on and do different things, it's going to be hard. Change is always hard. But I just ask you to embrace it, do the best that you can do with your change, and keep it pushing. That's all we can do. So I'm going to check in tonight. I was told for the police brutality list, I believe we have 24 names. Or more, might be less, but I know it's over 20 names. And for the sad list of community violence, we only have one name because it needs to be updated. So I'm going to check in real fast with Kalia. And Kalia, if we don't have any more comments or questions, I'll say the statement and we could just start with Brian and then take it from the mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic
just
check.
one more comment. A response from Descartes, just saying thanks to Wanda.
Oh, he is quite welcome. Twanda? Oh, yeah, so with that being said,
Twanda, this is Brian.
Our statement.
Twanda, just a minute. Brian's trying to reach you. Brian's saying something.
Hi, Twanda.
I'm sorry, Brian. Hey, Brian.
No problem. Before we start the sad list, I wanted to bring up one thing that's going on this week here that people might want to know about. It's not directly related to West Wednesday or police violence, but it is related to some of the violence that's going on against immigrants in this country. And that is on Saturday at 1 p.m. There's going to be a rally at Signature Aviation, which is down at BWI Airport on Aronson Road. And so if people want to come out for that, there's going to be, because Signature Aviation provides logistical support for the ICE deportation flights. They fuel the planes and so forth. So if people want to show up to protest that, it's 1 o'clock on Saturday at Signature Aviation. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate you sharing that. And also, I want you guys to be on the lookout because in July, Runner for Justice is doing their run that they do. They're remarkable. Shout out to Gretchen for hosting that. And we'll be sharing the date in which that they will be uplifting my brother's name and doing a run that they always do. And they normally do it like a week or two before the 18th of July when my brother's actually was, murdered. So I will keep you guys posted. And yeah, so I'm just going to go right into me freestyling our statement without me reading. Okay. It is the mission of the West Coalition to pretty much just kind of show respect for the families that are going through trauma and loss. Like, we read our names from both local and national news outlets, but unfortunately, we don't have any details attached to the victims in which lives were stolen. All we know that a life was stolen, and like I always say, no one deserves to be brutally murdered, and I stand on that 10 toes down. No one deserves to be brutally murdered. Like, not even a murderer. And I mean, I know that sounds crazy, but not even a murderer deserves to be brutally murdered. Because to me, that is a total act of violence. That's no love or none of that. We believe in mediation. We believe in peace, love, and integrity. You know, because if you can sit down together at a table to talk about an issue that's bothering both parties or every party that's involved, you can actually agree to disagree and walk away. You know, your family gets to see another loving day, because literally when someone is murdered, it literally takes a whole family out. It takes communities out, because you have to remember that one life that you snatch in an act of violence literally affects everybody, family members involved, and even yours. Like, literally, while you're doing that, you're not even thinking about your own family, because now your family have to see, and they're probably sad because, like, oh my goodness, what made my loved one take someone's life, and now their life is going to be over in a penitentiary or whatever the case may be. So it affects everybody. So my thing is, it's not worth it. Sometimes it's best to just turn the other cheeks. It's always best to calm down, let it go. Let it go. So again, we don't have any details or information about any names that we're going to read tonight, but all we know that we, feel sorry for the families that are involved or anything. We're not trying to traumatize anybody either, because there could be a time we may hear a name like, oh my goodness, that was my colleague that I graduated from college with, from, or whatever the case may be. But again, if you're in a praying, when we take the 2 minutes, say a prayer. If not, that's fine. Send positive thoughts, because it could easily be your loved one. And again, my heart goes out to any names that we read tonight. We're not here to traumatize you or anything. We don't have any details about anything. But again, live to love, love to live. And I say that with all passion. And I say that from the bottom of my heart, because it's not worth taking a life. A life is priceless. A life is priceless. So with that being said, the time now is 7:52. We're going to come back at 7:54, and I'm going to hand it over to Brian. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Brian, I think you're on.
We're taking it.
Oh, I forgot. I didn't hear it right. My bad.
No problem. Okay, guys, thank you so much. The time now is exactly 7:54. Brother Brian, I'm handing it all over to you. Mic check.
Mic check.
Yeah, thank you, Twanda. as Twana said, this week, since last West Wednesday, there have been 3 homicides in Baltimore. We only know the name of one. As those other names are released, we'll try and lift them up as well. But this one person had friends, had family, had coworkers. We don't know what they did in their community or what or how they related people around them, but we know that there's a whole network of loss around every name that we read. And so we lift them up out of respect for their lives. We lift them up out of solidarity with their loved ones, and we lift them up to dedicate ourselves to doing the work of ending violence. So if you would just echo back to me, please, the name of Derek Parker.
Derek
Parker.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And because our list is so long, well, it's enough. But they're going to split the list up in 3 ways. So I don't know who's going first, but I'm happy.
Yes, Twana, this is Hillary. I'm going to start out the list. And again, for our national list of police brutality and killings by the police, let's remember that each of these people represents an entire community and family. So we're starting out with May 27th, 2025 in Salt Lake City, Utah, 60-year-old male, Christian Allen.
Christian
Allen.
On May 27th in Ingleside, Texas, 54-year-old male, Albert Howie.
Albert
Howie.
Also on May 27th in Briggs, Oklahoma, 34-year-old female whose name was withheld by the police.
Cell blocks for killer cops, Ashe.
On May 27th in Middletown, Ohio, 47-year-old male, Michael Baker Jr.
Michael
Baker Jr.
Baker Jr.
On May 27th in Michigan City, Indiana, 21-year-old male, Jorge Mesa.
Jorge
Mesa.
On May 28th in Allentown, Pennsylvania, 73-year-old male, Gary Moyer.
Gary
Moyer.
On May 28th in Marshall, Michigan, 41-year-old male, Michael Coach.
Michael
Coach.
On May 28th in Jeffersontown, Kentucky, 43-year-old male, Marco Dorsey.
Marco
Dorsey.
And I will hand it over to Kalia to do the next group.
Continuing on May 28th in Cartersville, Georgia, 50-year-old female, Carrie Hall. Again on May 28th in Santan Valley, Arizona. Gender is male, unknown age, Kyle Webster.
Kyle Webster.
Moving on to May 29th in Greer, South Carolina, 51-year-old male, Johnny Collins.
Johnny Collins.
Also on May 29th in Albuquerque, New Mexico, a male whose name is or age is unknown, Jorge Dominguez.
Jorge Dominguez.
On May
29th again in Woodbridge, New Jersey, 35-year-old male, Amir Allen.
Amir Allen.
Mhm.
9th again, in St. Louis, Missouri, a male whose name was withheld by the police, an unknown age.
Cell blocks for killer cops.
All blacks and killer cops.
Ashe.
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 On May 30th, in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, 29-year-old male, Cornelius Better.
Cornelius
Better.
Cornelius Fetter.
And on May 31st, in Monroe, North Carolina, 18-year-old male, Joshua Sykes.
Joshua
Sykes.
Joshua Sykes.
Now, thank you. I'll pass it on to Bill for the final 8 names.
Good evening, everyone. For anyone that's come in late, we're reading the names of people killed by police between the end of May and the first few days of June. It's 24 names in an 8-day period, and that means that they've killed, if the list is complete, perhaps there are others, but according to this list, the police have killed an average of 3 people every day during that period. In San Diego on the 31st, a man was killed whose age is not known, and his name has been withheld by the police.
Cell blocks for killer cops.
Ashe.
Ashe.
In Mobile, Alabama on the 31st, 75 years old, Michael Collins.
Michael Collins.
Michael Collins.
In El Paso,
Michael
Texas
Collins.
In El Paso, Texas on June the 1st, 35 years old, Salvador Valdevezo.
Salvador Valdevezo.
Valdevezo.
Tulsa, Oklahoma, again on June the 1st, 29 years old, Parker Brown.
Parker
Brown.
In Atlanta, Georgia, once more on the 1st, 51 years old, Elisair Rivera.
Elisair Rivera.
Elisair Rivera.
In East Fairview, North Dakota, on the 2nd of June, 31 years old, Christopher Nels.
Christopher Nels.
Christopher Nels.
Again on the 2nd of June in Paynesville, Minnesota, a man whose age has not been circulated by the press and whose name has been withheld by the police.
Cell blocks for killer cops.
Ashe.
Ashe. I got a little distracted because I think Tawana was cut off. Are you still here, Tawana?
No.
Okay. And finally, the last person we're upholding whose life was stolen by the police. Oh, Tawana's back. Hold on a sec. Tawana, I'm trying to bring you in. Oh, there you are. We got it. I think we were talking about Shelby Township in Michigan, killed by police. This is the last person we're upholding this evening. It was a man. His age has not been revealed by the press or the police, and his name has been withheld by the police.
Cell blocks for killer cops.
Ashe.
Ashe.
Ashe. And that concludes the list tonight of victims of police brutality, those who have lost their lives. There are many other victims who survived but were harmed in a variety of ways, some very serious. So I pass the mic back to you, Tawana. Mic check.
Mic check. And I want to thank each and I want to thank you guys for all your donations and contributions, because definitely assisted needs. It's like there's a lot that's going on, like me literally transferring from a new job from my old job, spending a whole week, when my cousin got murdered. I only got an 8-hour back of like, you can only laugh about it and just having so much, but I'm just glad what I went training, because it changed nothing about the end comments about the outcome, and the outcome was amazing. I got to spend a beautiful, amazing time with my daughter during her graduation, and just seeing her smile and watching my baby walk across that stage. Nothing couldn't change that. Like that feeling is just there, even with me, my uncertainties about everything, and literally with everything just being so thrown off right now. Still standing by, still believing, and just remember, live to love all, and we will see you guys next mic check. And please stay tuned for the video that we played at the beginning. Please watch it to the end, and yeah, we'll see you guys next West Wednesday. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Mike.
And Mr. West begging for his life, and Mr. Salam begging for his child to be excluded and comforted from what was taking place. Not for himself, but for his 3-year-old child.
Case number 4, Adina Britt and family, September 10th, 2015.
My name is Adina Britt, and I wanted to submit a 30-second testimonial that Jorge Omar Bernardez Ruiz is one of the 11 terrorists that came into my house performing a home invasion in September 2015, terrorizing my entire family and even holding my 12-year-old son at gunpoint. He needs to be stopped.
Case number 5, unidentified arrestee, assaulted in 2016.
I suggest you back the fuck up. No, why you want to talk to me? Why would you say that?
Again, this video did not surface until the summer of 2020. Case 6, Thomas McCullough, May 2016 and February 2017.
I heard my front door coming off the hinges like it exploded.
Thomas McCullough says it happened twice. In May 2016 and February 2017, Baltimore City Police burst through his green front door and raided his Pimlico home.
They said, police. They come up, shotguns, guns.
He says officers ransacked the place, looking for drugs, money, and weapons. He took pictures of the damage he says they left behind.
Tell us where the drugs are, the scales, the guns, and the large amounts of money.
Nothing was found. Now he's suing police, claiming officers, including a former member of the Gun Trace Task Force, frightened him, his wife, and father-in-law when the officers conducted what his suit calls an illegal search of his home. The owner of the house tells 11 News after the second raid, he had to replace the front door. McCullough and his attorney say they want Baltimore police held accountable.
There is a colossal breach of trust.
And McCullough tells us following both raids, no one was arrested or charged.
This all begs the question, when will Baltimore City State's attorney see the prosecution of Bernardez Ruiz as warranted?
They were the stopping officers in these so-called jump-out cars, unmarked and so forth, that stopped both the West vehicle and the Salam vehicle without probable cause. And these officers are the ones that also were joined by others, but they are the ones who initiated the stops, pulled both men out of the vehicles, and commenced the vicious activity that was thrust upon them.
And the officer Ruiz that started this attack is still working and working with promotions. He is now sergeant. But the fact that this repeat of violent offender had a history leading up to my brother. There was Darrell Harris, there was James Green, Joseph Green, Abdul Salam. No one family deserves to be brutally murdered or brutalized by this repeat violent offender Ruiz. It is time we take action. The time is now.
Baltimore police officer Jorge Bernardez Ruiz is a repeat violent offender. Based on these accounts, in accordance with the law, we, the West Coalition, call for him to be fired, prosecuted, and incarcerated.
We're more than hashtags and body bags. We're more than being 6 feet in the dirt and pictures and buttons on t-shirts. Our lives matter.
For the safety of our city, the prevention of further harm, and the justice for these families, we see no other option.
And again, I'll say, the time is now.